everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lockbox Lunatics with your host here, Steve. I'm up here in Kennewick, Washington, and we have Mr. Chad Kamp staying cool, hopefully down there in Phoenix, Arizona, metro area. How you doing, Chad?
Doing great, man. The weather's starting to cool off. It's getting really nice out. It's getting that be that time of year this is why we live where we live, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Your quote unquote your winter months are done. We're just getting ready for the big freeze. We have a
That's
special
right.
guest with us today. We
We
have
do.
Nikki Sjogren with Land Home Financial Services. Thank you so much, Nikki, for being on the show today.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for
Welcome,
coming.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
So Nikki is a lender extraordinaire. She is somebody that I've known for quite some time that is an incredible problem solver. I'll put it that way. She has come across some really interesting things as lenders do, but she seems to have a knack for always being able to find a solution that's workable and winnable for all sides. So Nikki, thank you for joining us today. Super appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for the invite. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well,
So why don't you give us a little bit of your background? Tell us how long you've been in the industry and if you have any specialties.
So yeah, I've been in lending, 15 years, give or take. So been doing it for a while, seen some stuff. It's been interesting, but I absolutely love it. As far as specialties go, I think the reason it brought me to Land Home is having the availability to get things done. Not just your vanilla deals, not your standard, obviously I do your standard easy purchase refis, that's it. But I also specialize in, manufactured construction deals, broker deals. Like Steve said, I'm kind of known to be you can't get something done, give Nikki a call because she finds a way. I do. I somehow find a way to get things done. And that's what I love about the company is we have an outlet for almost every option. So, if you're out there and getting told no, don't give up. Reach out to me. Let me see what I can do. We are nationwide, which definitely helps as well too. So, but I am based out of, Kennewick, Washington here.
that's awesome. We're going to put a link and your contact information as well in
Thank
the
you.
comment section so people can find a way to get a hold of you if they're having a difficult time. So,
Well, trust me, I'll take the easy deals as well.
right on. Yeah. Give me some softballs every now and then too. I'll be good with that.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of change in the real estate industry, and Chad and I touch a lot about changes that have been happening in the industry and kind of how agents and brokerages and the industry in general is reacting to those types of things. And some of the things that we found, we talk a lot about newer agents and communication styles and differences and things like that. What are some of the things that you're finding in your neck of the woods that are kind of creating maybe proving to be a little problematic for you? What's kind of one of your hot buttons or something that you've noticed?
I think communication throughout the team. And when I talk about the team, everybody just puts it on real estate agent, lender, right? There's so many more people involved in these transactions, appraisers, titles, notaries, inspectors. It just, there's a ton of us working on these deals as we go through them. And I find communication amongst the team sometimes is difficult. We have a lot of people that are not as engaged as we would like. And we all need to remember that it's definitely something we're all after the same goal. We're all after trying to get these through closing, get these people in their homes. That's what it's about. That's why we all signed up for this. And when we have parties that, let's just face it, some people hide from their phones, some people hide from their emails or just rely on email and don't pick up the phone. It can definitely be problematic. We all need to realize that we're here together as one team, one goal. And I think that really needs to be taken back to the basics, I should say.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than when an agent goes MIA after the contract is signed, and then the next time they appear is, after closing to find out where their commission check is.
Right.
I've had to walk many deals through with the other agent being missing in action. So it's extremely important. You're spot on that the agent communicates with the lender communicates with the buyer, and everyone is communicating, inspectors, appraisers, and things of that nature. I can't speak to how important that is through the entire process to try and make it go as smoothly as possible. You're always going to have some sort of obstacle that presents itself. And then, just be prepared for that. And there again, the way to solve that is communication.
Throughout the team, right? I think it really needs to dive down to not just as a lender, reaching out to only your borrower. We need to reach out to you guys on the listing and the selling side and keep you up to date as to where things are, as well as title and escrow. They are just as involved in this process as we are. So I think, a lot of people have just gotten, I guess, lazy with communication because we all rely so much on quick text messages or things like that. I think we need to take it back to the basics of lending and communication and just really holding everyone accountable throughout the transaction. I think it just makes it a better transition for our borrowers, our clients, all the way through.
Yeah. You had mentioned, involvement as one of the words, just being involved and engaged.
Yes. Yeah.
What are some of the things that can happen? What have you seen happen when agents go MIA? Like what kind of things can happen or do happen?
Oh, it could be
Do you need a
nasty.
list? Do you need-
Yeah, I very recent story. People just not, and Chad, you kind of touched on it. Agents going MIA. They, you guys work your tails off getting out there, showing houses, taking clients for months on end, and I've run into some situations where they get it to the lending table and it's like, okay, I'm done. We're, now it's in the lender's hand. We still need involvement with you guys. There are times that something comes up on appraisal and, we need to work through that together. And you guys are that source. Us as lenders can't reach out to the appraisers. We need to rely on you guys for that. The clients get upset when I'm at the closing table and there's no realtor there to represent. They feel like they've just been left out to dry, and then realtors are there to pick up their check at the end.
Right.
So that's super frustrating. I do miss the days of, going to the closing table and we'd have all parties involved and everybody's excited, and borrowers loved that. They don't get that experience anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's been a big change. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they do get that with the right agents.
With the right agents.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I miss very few of my signings, and there's got to be something going on, whether I'm out of town or have other, other obligations that I have to deal with.
Right.
But yeah, it's extremely important, and I convey that to my agents as well. Is you've taken those home buyers through this process. There's been highs, there's been lows, right?
Right.
This is the last high that you're going to be able to experience with these folks. And
Right.
you want to leave them on a positive note. You want to leave them with as much excitement as you can and appreciation, because we do appreciate those buyers that navigate this through, this process with us. Because there again, it's an emotional, just as emotional for us agents as it is for the buyers, but we understand the buyers are way more emotional because it's a direct impact on their, on their,
Absolutely.
right? And so when agents miss out on that, it's extremely discouraging to see that.
Well, I go back to the fact, I'm sorry to cut you off, Steve, but I mean, the way I take this is I'm a lender for life, and I want my agents to be that agent for life. We live in somewhat of a smaller community here in Kennewick, Steve, and I think, word of mouth goes a long way. And to continually be in front of your borrowers and be top of mind is huge. You're building that lifelong relationship and referral source.
When do you think, I guess, when or why do you think agents stopped kind of engaging in a lot of that?
I saw a big change at COVID, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We figured out a way to do this without being so interpersonal. And then people got busy, and, we see a lot of agents that have, I hate to say this, but have kind of stepped away and had to take second jobs because the market has been down. And so they're not filtering back in as much as what they used to. And I think that's going to hurt a lot of agents.
Oh, I think so. It's a top line approach, right? They're just there for the major milestones. And that's interesting that you say that, because I think we got used to so much automation during COVID, right? And the ability was that I'm not allowed to be near you. And people were kind of like, oh, maybe I kind of like this because it's making it a little bit easier, maybe lazier. I hate to use that term a little bit, but that's the word that's coming to mind for us. And I think that as that happened, a lot of automation came online, right? Zoom obviously became a thing. We're using it right now more than we ever had. AI's jumped on board now. And so agents feel like, oh, I have all this stuff that can do all this for me. And yet you brought up a key phrase, and it's something that Chad and I talk about kind of ad nauseum, which is that face-to-face meeting, being able to shake hands with somebody and being able to be present. Buyers and consumers still want that. They still
They do.
clamor for that. They really
Yeah.
desire that.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so it's very interesting. So as we continue through that and kind of hitting on AI, as AI jumps into this whole thing, do you see this situation getting better or worse on your end? What do you think? Where do you think it's going to go in terms of your interactions with agents?
I think there's pros and cons to each side. I mean, yes, AI is amazing. I love the quickness, the availability. I mean, it all makes us sound and look so much more on top of things, more professional, right? It definitely has its pros. I worry about things going so automated on the lack of interpersonal skills, the lack of interpersonal readiness to jump in and take over something. I mean, I had a situation just the other night where unfortunately things could have gone very bad that I could see at the closing table. And, we had a mobile notary involved. It was after hours and some things were said out of line that should not have been done. And it freaked out my borrower to the point I got a call at 6:30 at night saying, she's telling me this is all wrong. I don't understand. I thought we had this worked out.
Wow.
I immediately dropped everything and ran over to the borrower's house. Now, if we move towards, AI completely, how is that going to remedy quickly and comfortably for the borrower? It took me sitting there for 2.5 hours and reviewing the entire loan one more time to reiterate that what he was expecting was actually what he was signing. And it goes down to, again, not knowing all parties involved in the transaction. It was a mobile notary, and that's a risk that you take. People outstepping their boundaries that they should be in, not doing their job and staying in their appropriate lanes that they should. It's resolved. Borrower's happy, calm down. We were able to resolve that. But my fear is heading into such an automated situation, how is a borrower going to feel at that particular point if something goes south? How is that going to, how do you save that, right?
Well, and there's so many other pieces I think that are attached to it as well. Like I engage in AI quite a bit, but I temper it because to me, I always go to a liability side. What happens when AI decides to say something and you're unaware of that, and then that gets used against you, and you're saying, well, they're saying, but this is a process or an automation or a system that you actually use and endorse, and it made your buyer think one thing because it's not having the understanding, the nuances and the dynamics of having a conversation, much like we are right now. Like if I was to scream and yell, you guys would go, oh gosh. But I can't type that through AI. It might just, it's not going to understand maybe the anxiety in my voice as a borrower saying, hey, Nikki, can I really afford this? Do you think this is a good thing? Right. And AI spits out the answer. Yeah. Hey, numbers work. It's great. Right.
Exactly.
It's not being able to understand those nuances,
Right. Yeah. And it's not being able to express any type of sympathy, along those lines, understanding. Steve, I'm sure all of us have been there where we've actually purchased a home and sold properties before. So we know, the emotional roller coaster that, these individuals, our clients, average consumer goes through. And so being able to come alongside and say, hey, look, I've been there where you're at. It's going to be okay. Or this is something that we need to be mindful of and watch out for is extremely important. And that's never going to go away, that personal touch.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nikki, what are some things that you would like to see agents do to help kind of bridge this gap a little bit and create better streams of communication? I mean, it's got to be maybe just a couple things, I would think.
I think we need to go back to the focus of building that team throughout the process, knowing your team, right? Obviously, there's laws and protections against referring only to certain people, and you have to have so many referral sources. I understand that. But we need to come together as an industry, as a whole, to work together.
Yeah.
I really think there's a key factor of that missing right now.
Yeah. Well, real estate, I mean, it's one of the most fractured industries. I got into this from the medical industry, and when I first got in, I couldn't believe for an industry the size that it is and the impact that it has on every American and everybody in this country and investors, the whole gamut, right?
Yeah.
That it was so disjointed. I was blown. I was like, how does this system figure out even how to work? Right. It's just, I'd never seen anything like that because I was very much used to utilizing systems and things like that to keep things on track and running smoothly. So it was kind of interesting.
I think, and you guys can attest to this because I'm sure you hear it and see it as well on the real estate side, there's always a lot of finger pointing going on and not taking responsibility for the actions. And I think that's where I keep going back to coming together as a team, supporting one another, having each other's backs. You know, when the questions come up, letting the appropriate member of that team take care of it. You know, if it's a lending question, call your lender. If it's a property question, call your agent. If it's a title situation, we need to reach out to title instead of
Right.
people trying to be the know-it-all of all factors of it. We're all licensed in our own certain areas of the industry. We need to
Yes.
stay in that area and leverage our partner in the transaction to be the professional. And I think that will end up being a better transaction all the way through.
Well, and I think
The trap that newer agents fall in, and honestly, I felt compelled that I felt the pressure here as well. I thought I had to know the answer to every
Yeah.
single question that my client asked. And
Right.
so very
Yes.
early on, I felt that pressure. And fortunately, I had a great mentor, and she came in and she's like, "Look, it's okay to say I don't know, because you're not in the lending world. You're not in
Right.
the title world. Okay,
Right.
step back and say, hey, be honest enough." And I think that's what most of my clients appreciate is now I'm honest enough to say, I can't say for certain, let's get the lender on the line.
Yeah.
For certain, let's get title on the line. They're the ones who are answering that, and they're going to be the ones that will be responsible for whatever that outcome is going to be.
Absolutely.
If I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I love that, the ability to say that, because that does create trust with your clients, right? Because
Yeah.
so many times I'm like, I can give you some generalities, but what we need to do is get you to the expert, which is your lender or that type
Right.
of company. My expertise is what I'm doing with you right now. And I can
Mhm.
just speak in great generalities that are not going to be useful to you, really. I can give you
Right.
some basic ideas, but I think a lot of agents are scared. They come from a lot of people come from a place of scarcity. I'm going to go off on a little tangent.
Yeah.
Where they're afraid that they're going to lose that client, instead of saying something where, I tell people it's okay to say, like, hey, you know what, Nikki, I don't have the answer to that right now. But what I'm
Right.
going to do is I'm going to get us in touch with the person that can get us a very specific answer so that you're comfortable moving forward. How does that sound?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to love that more than me just trying to pull something out of my back pocket and hoping that it's the right thing. And then we get down the road and they're severely disappointed in what
Exactly.
I gave them, and it wrecks my reputation. It wrecks, like you said, that communication, right? It funnels down to
Yeah.
the whole transaction becoming kind of a mess,
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. It's really about building that communication and kind of bringing those partnerships together and having them work.
Well, Nikki, I know that I think that we're at the time that you need to part ways.
Yeah.
And so we want to be mindful of that. We really appreciate you coming on board and spending a little bit of time
Absolutely.
talking about your industry and how it impacts ours. Anyone that's watched, hit that like, share, and comment button. Again, if you have any suggestions on future topics, go ahead and submit those down below. And otherwise, we'll y'all have a great day. Appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Thank you
so much.
guys.
Appreciate it. All right.
Of course.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Hey, thanks, Nikki. Hopefully I got you to your meeting on time.
Yeah, you did. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good day,
Take care.
guys.